Hey, this is Scott Ryder. Welcome to Parkinson's Across America, segment number 4. We crossed the Mississippi. We're heading westward. What I will always remember about segment number 4 are two things. First of all, the landscape changed. Just dramatic differences, and the beauty is captured in the videography in segment number 4. You're going to really enjoy that. The people we encountered along the way were amazing, filled with hope and encouragement as they share their stories from all different perspectives. You're going to like segment number 4. Please share segment number 4 with your friends and your family. Anybody you know. Click on the description below. You'll see a link to the Parkinson's Foundation. Would you please consider making a generous gift to help battle Parkinson's disease? We're getting closer to a cure every day. So click on the link. $5, $500, $5,000, whatever works for you would be much appreciated. Hope you enjoy segment number 4. We'll see you on the road. Hey, I'm Scott Ryder.
And I'm Jim Morgan.
And I'm Bryce Krudemeyer, and this is Parkinson's Across America. This is segment 4. We're in the western part of the United States, traveling to Denver, Colorado, then to Salt Lake City, Utah, and we made a U-turn back towards Colby, Kansas.
The people we've met on this journey so far have been absolutely amazing, motivating, inspiring. In this segment, we meet a really special man by the name of Dan Gearhart. And Dan's very open and honest about the impact that Parkinson's had on himself and his family. I think everybody's going to find Dan's story of great interest.
Prior to Parkinson's, I worked as an air traffic controller in the civilian sector and also in the military. I was always very active. I like to hunt and fish, and I still do those things, but it's just much more difficult. I was a fly fishing guide in my younger years and still enjoy that, but tying the knots and the flies is extremely difficult for me now, but I still do it. Personally, Parkinson's has changed my life just about every way you can imagine. My ex-wife left because of the disease. I'm a single father of 3, and it's taken its toll on me. I mean, it's a nasty disease, but I try and stay positive. I try and be an example to my children, and I try and do everything that I can to fight this disease holistically and medically. There's no rock steady boxing in my area, and so I made my gym into my own exercise facility. And when I have symptoms, I go out there and I pound them out. One of the ways that I stay positive is through my faith. I believe that my God is a God of miracles, and Jesus Christ can do anything, and I believe I can be healed. And I believe I'm healed a little bit every day with positive attitude, and I hope to inspire others to let them know don't give up. I mean, I'll never give up. I love my kids too much. Give my troubles to God when it becomes too much for me. With will and determination, you can do anything. And I believe people with Parkinson's have a unique ability and are empathetic, and they understand things that other people they might not. I'm a good heart, and I'm a good father. Parkinson's has possibly made me a better man.
Denver, what an incredible landscape, an incredible city. You know, you had the mountains, the beautiful blue skies. It was wonderful. It's the Mile High City. That's what it's known as.
The most amazing thing about Denver was your Aunt Becky.
Are you talking about the cookies, Scott?
Jim, did you like Aunt Becky's cookies?
Aunt Becky's cookies were amazing. Dropped Bryce off, and he spent the night with Aunt Becky and came back the next morning with a bundle of cookies. And those cookies were gone in pretty short order, were they not?
I think we skipped meals just to
Have Aunt Becky's cookies.
Yes. So here's the story on the cookies. Bryce's Aunt Becky, right? If I remember right, Chris said, yeah, I'll take one. And then it was like 7 later. Then I saw Taylor do something I never seen. Taylor had at least 3. That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
I had 1. I stuck to that. Cookies are killer good, aren't they, Bryce?
They are.
Because they're cooked at over 5,000 feet altitude, right?
Yes, they are. Denver, Colorado cookies, the finest right here.
While we were in the Denver area, we had the opportunity to sit down with the people from the Davis Finney Foundation, another organization that is instrumental in raising awareness in the Parkinson's community.
I think the Davis Finney story, Jim, is really an amazing story. Davis Finney is a well-known U.S. cyclist, a bronze medalist in the Olympics, a stage winner in the Tour de France. I think most people would agree he's the single most decorated American cyclist in the Tour de France. Davis Finney in 2000 was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and since that date has really been very outspoken and open about his diagnosis and used the fact that he has Parkinson's in a positive way to offer hope and encouragement to people across the globe.
You know what, though, Scott, before we go there, I think we need to have a look at the Bryce version of Scott Check.
Jim, I guess that's okay. My concern is we don't want anybody to be alarmed because I don't know if you recall this particular situation. I thought Bryce was having a sugar coma or some adverse reaction to Aunt Becky's cookies because he had consumed so many. It was crazy.
I'm addicted to the cookies, that's all I gotta say. Think it's gonna be okay?
Tell us about those cookies.
The cookies were good. They were really good. They are still good, yeah. Yes.
So they still exist?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The mission of the Davis Finney Foundation has never wavered. Since our inception in 2004, we have focused only on one thing, which is to help people with Parkinson's live well today. And that takes the form of programs, tools, resources, and funding quality of life research in the Parkinson's community.
Davis and his wife Connie really represent biking royalty in the U.S.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, you know, he won the bronze medal in the '84 Olympic Games, And he reminds me that Connie won the gold.
When Davis was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2000, he was told, take this medicine and
That's it.
quiet your life down and start to put your affairs in order and stop doing things. And he knew through his own personal experience that he felt much better when he was active.
The mantra that Davis that has taught me is the mantra of the Davis Finney Foundation, is the raised hands that he would show as he would win a race. But we use that now, that same symbol, anytime you just accomplish anything in your day-to-day life. It could be emptying the dishwasher. That's a victory, right?
We envision a world where Parkinson's well-being is essential to the well-being of the community, and where all people with Parkinson's have the tools and resources.
I feel very lucky to be part of a group that really has front and center its ideal of trying to get out there and serve everyone. Parkinson's is an equal opportunity disease. I mean, it affects everybody, right?
Yeah.
I lived in the Bay Area. I was going through a divorce. Just sold my home and trying to figure out where am I going to hang my shingle. And I was here at a board retreat with Polly and Davis and Connie. And they both said to me, Kevin, you really ought to consider moving to Boulder, because if you move here, you'll live longer and you'll live better. And so I picked up, and without really knowing anyone other than the people here at the foundation, moved here to Boulder 3 years ago. Thought I'd found nirvana with all the programs and things that were local. Davis and I would be like little school kids going to class. We'd carpool together the spin class and boxing, or just ride our bikes.
When somebody discovers something that makes them feel better, they want everybody to know.
That's right. It's not a secret that
It's
you're
not a
hoarding.
secret that you're hoarding. You want everybody to know that this particular exercise or this regimen or this diet change or this approach has made you feel better. They're on the mountaintop singing it.
There's strength in numbers and strength in camaraderie in this disease, where you know that you have someone that you can talk to, who can talk to you, who gets what you're going through. And to me, that creates such a positive attitude. And attitude is everything.
The social connection and the coming together as a community is such an important part of living well.
Agreed. You know, when people tell you it's not always about Parkinson's, well, it is. I mean, in the sense that you go to sleep with it and you wake up with it. The struggles of sleeping and the struggles of waking up bleed into the next day.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
You have no choice. You got to tackle it. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said it's a contact sport of all contact sports. Right?
But Kevin, you choose every day to wake up and set your attitude towards wellness and towards positivity.
That's right.
And that's a choice you make every morning.
I believe we have no choice. In order to really survive, you know, the journey that we have leading up till now and going forward, you have to have this whole idea that get out of bed, fight that apathy, fight that depression, fight that rigidity, and go do something good, because you'll feel better the next day if you do.
Our friends with Parkinson's who take that approach like you and really have the discipline and the attitude do better.
No, we're not going to let this thing beat us, you know, out there. It's not to say that we don't have our ups and down days. We all do. It's about what can we do today to move forward.
It is possible to live well with Parkinson's, and that waiting for a cure is equivalent to decline. That you can't be patient. You have to be persistent, and you have to go after the things that will make you feel better. And we know there are many, many things that can make you feel better with Parkinson's.
Guys, you'll recall that we were about 45 minutes outside of downtown Denver, and we got a call from Channel 9 to be on the evening news in about 30 minutes, and they asked if we could make it. We said yes, of course, and we scrambled to get there. But while we were doing that,
Well, Bryce, I decided that we should have a Channel 9 jingle. We had 30 minutes, 25 minutes to get there. I thought, we're going to walk in the door with the jingle ready to go.
Yeah, it was something. That's all I gotta say. It was something.
Going to Channel 9 News, guys. 4:55 minutes. You know what I'm thinking? We need to come up with a jingle for Channel 9. We're there all the time. Bryce has got it. You got anything to add, Taylor, to Channel 9's jingle? I'm too late. Channel 9. We're there all the time. My name's Dan Baxter. This is the Channel 9 News. Breaking news. We're going out to the field live to Bryce K. Bryce, what did you discover?
What did you just say?
Channel 9 News, and my name is Bryce Baxter. We're going out to Jim Morgan in the field. Jim, what's going on out there?
well, I understand that they've been sighting red salmon in the river here that we're getting with magnet fishing.
So getting to Channel 9 News was sort of an adventure all on its own. We were under time constraints. We missed the driveway for Channel 9, went past it, came back, jumped out of the van, went inside, and the security guy said, yeah, just walk down a hallway. So we walked down a dark hallway off to our right. You remember there's a huge room filled with all sorts of TVs and monitors. Some guy greeted us and said, just sit down here. And we sit down, we hear something, we look around the curtain. There's people behind the news desk talking. They were live on the news. Well, we didn't know that.
Both of them are in the middle of their Parkinson's Across America tour, bringing their experiences with the disease to people across the country. And fortunately, they're with us today, Scott and Jim, with us as their tour stops here in Denver.
I should mention tonight, big event at 6 p.m.
At
Denver Jewish Community Center,
Yeah.
350 South Donna Street.
Everybody's welcome. It's all about awareness. There's no charge, there's no fee.
Thank you so much. How can you pass them up? They like us the best and they're Bronco fans. Tom, we wish them the best on this little tour.
Yeah, like what they said, they've been everywhere, and then when it comes to social media, they are everywhere. So keep it up, fellas. It's great to hear.
Channel 9 all the time. We're here for you. NBC. Let's go.
That was great.
What do we owe you?
Scott, I think we were feeling pretty well that went okay, but we thought that there were some things that maybe they could fix in that. And what happened then?
Jim, I'll never forget. I looked at you and said, yeah, I think we did pretty good. The nice thing is they can edit a certain part out. The news anchor looked at me and said, Scott, there is no editing. You were just on the news live. We're like, what?
So later that evening, we had scheduled a welcome event in the Denver area, and we had a lot of time and energy put into this whole entire event. And, Jim was getting ready for his presentation, and, tell us a little bit about that.
So I was so excited about this presentation, and it turned out that the crowd was a little bit thinner than we expected.
There was one person, though, in the audience that was very engaged.
While we were in the Denver area, we also had the chance to sit down with Dr. Michelle Fullard. She is with the University of Colorado and described the importance to us of reaching out to the Parkinson's community who are underserved.
My interest in underserved populations in Parkinson's really began when I was a fellow. I worked with Allison Willis at the University of Pennsylvania, and we worked on projects looking at access to care for women with Parkinson's. And so a lot of my early work was trying to improve access to care and understanding barriers to care for women with Parkinson's. And then when I moved to the University of Colorado, I found that over 30% of the population is Hispanic and Latino, but if you look at our clinics, maybe 6% of our Parkinson's population is Hispanic or Latino. So from there, that led to some initiatives to try to improve access to care and then also improve underrepresentation in clinical trials for Parkinson's. So some of these initiatives include just trying to raise awareness for Parkinson's. We know if people aren't aware of the symptoms or if they're not seeking out care for some of the symptoms, then they won't receive a diagnosis. We got together a group from the Hispanic and Latino community, gave them a high-level presentation about what Parkinson's is, and then they helped us come up with messages that they thought their community needed to hear about Parkinson's. So we created these really unique flyers, materials that we've now been going out to all these community events and giving out. We think the community members really liked seeing what was actually made by other members of their community. Many told us if they are going to see a doctor, they want to see someone in their community and someone that they know. So that again can affect if they can access a neurologist or a movement disorder physician. And then we also heard from a lot of community members that, if my arm's shaking or I'm hunched over, that's just what happens when we get older. And so there was just a lack of awareness of, what's normal aging and what is actually Parkinson's. For a lot of the community members, they might be bilingual or Spanish speaking only. And so language is a huge barrier as well that we're trying to address here. Parkinson's Foundation and a lot of the other foundations have been working hard on that to try to improve access to information and help raise awareness for those who are Spanish speaking only. So I think that has been really helpful, but even raising that awareness that these resources exist can be difficult too, making sure we're reaching the right people. So something we're also trying to do. In the future, what I really hope is that we do improve access to care for the minority population with Parkinson's and representation in clinical trials. Right now, about 1% of Parkinson's clinical trials are Hispanic or Latino, and other underrepresented groups, minority groups, are very underrepresented. So if we can improve representation, we'll have a much better idea of how these upcoming therapies work in all populations.
Guys, you may recall that the trek from Denver to Salt Lake City, that was quite a drive. A lot of territory where the scenery was beautiful, but not much population. And I remember at one point thinking about the television show I watched in my youth called The Beverly Hillbillies, where they rolled into Beverly Hills with all their stuff tied and stacked in their vehicle. And at times I felt like we were sort of like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Guys, when you spend so much time on a journey packed together so closely for so many hours, the small things really become big things, like You guys really got excited when we passed over the Utah state line.
Utah! Utah! Here! We are on! Utah! Friends! America! Get out of this! We can go 100, Jim! Faster, Jim! Faster! Go, come on, Jim! Put the pedal to the metal! Go, Jim! Jim! Yeah!
When we arrived in Salt Lake City, we had a reception at the Utah Arts Alliance with a few of our sponsors. Judy Cutler from the Cutler Family Foundation joined us, as well as representatives from Boston Scientific and particularly representatives from Kizik Shoes.
One of the things that made that reception really special was it was our first time to meet Monty, CEO of Kizik Hands-Free Shoes, and along with his wife. And then the next morning, Monty would be hosting us at the world headquarters of Kizik Hands-Free Shoes for an amazing tour of their facility.
So it's Wednesday morning, September 21st. We just left the hotel. We are on our way to Kizik World Headquarters, Hand-Free Labs. Can't wait to meet everybody.
So while Monty was showing us around and giving us the tour at Kizik, I was just absolutely blown away by their operation of how their company runs. Scott, weren't you?
You know, Bryce, it was really neat. It was like a creative laboratory.
It was really exciting to meet the people responsible for creating such a life-changing tool, if you would. Being able to have shoes that are so easy to put on without bending down, without having to tie the shoelaces, makes a real difference in the way I get started on my day.
At Kizik, we make shoes that you can put on easily. That makes them convenient for everyone. But it is particularly difficult or impossible for others. That's where we are best at Kizik. We know that Kizik shoes are having an impact in the lives of people with Parkinson's. We see it all the time. We see it in reviews, we see it in referrals, we see it on social media. Not long ago, I met a woman who had bought a pair of shoes. What she said was, "We tried these shoes. I realized immediately my dad, who has Parkinson's, could benefit from these shoes." I just absolutely love the fact that our Kizik shoes are finding people with Parkinson's. We hope to be able to help every person with Parkinson's, and we know that that's what Scott and Jim want as well. We're so honored that one of the stops was here at our Kizik headquarters.
While we're in Salt Lake City, we also had a chance to sit down with Sammy Rackman, who's a registered nurse for the Intermountain Neurosciences Institute. And she talked to us about healthy living and the importance of taking care of ourselves on a daily basis.
I think something very commonly misunderstood with Parkinson's patients is how much mental health, specifically depression and anxiety, plays into Parkinson's and how normal that is. I take a lot of calls from patients who suddenly are experiencing anxiety for the first time in their life and they want to downplay it, they don't want to address it. However, when I mention it's very normal to be experiencing that and there are medications and other methods that we can help with that, it can change their life. So I think talking about that more and mentioning that to people first thing when they get their diagnosis can be very comforting and give people a lot of hope that they don't have to suffer in silence with mental health issues on top of other Parkinson's problems. I think people with Parkinson's should have hope because there are so many resources and people who are willing to help and listen and support you out there. From caregivers to researchers to other people with Parkinson's, I think there are so many reasons to have hope and to continue going forward.
We said our goodbyes to Dan at the Salt Lake City airport and then began probably the longest stretch of our journey, off to Colby, Kansas.
We had a really long drive in front of us to Colby, Kansas, but we were in an amazing part of the country where the views are just expansive. On that particular day, it seemed like there were storms occurring all around us everywhere we looked. So we pulled off to capture some video, and lo and behold, probably saw what I would consider the most amazing display of rainbows I've ever seen. It seemed like they were all around us. Those rainbows were symbolic of hope and encouragement, beauty amongst the storm. We mentioned earlier that after Salt Lake City, really we did something we hadn't done on our entire journey, guys. We took a U-turn. We went back east towards Colby, Kansas. And if you recall, our connection to Colby, Kansas was from one of the attendees at the party that Jim Krager held for us in Chicago, the dinner party. And at that party, a gentleman walked up and handed me a card with a phone number and said, "Please call this lady." And that card had the name of Elaine Patacek in Colby, Kansas. Well, I called Elaine and she said, "Are you going to stop by and see us and film Parkinson's Across America in Colby, Kansas?" I said, where the heck is Colby, Kansas? Not knowing it was really in the middle of nowhere. But there was something about her. I said, Elaine, we'll come to Colby, Kansas if you promise to make homemade noodles and a homemade lemon meringue pie. Without hesitation, she said, you got it. So we arrived in Colby, Kansas, and Elaine had instructed us to meet her at the local radio station, which has a really significant listening audience. And the purpose of arriving there was to be interviewed to promote Parkinson's Across America on air. A very influencing lady named Elaine Potachuk found out we were in Chicago, and she said, would you guys come see us? And she's done amazing things here for not just the people in Colby, but a broad range throughout Kansas and other states. So we want to capture that story and highlight that story because Elaine is an example of somebody that's making a difference in the lives of people with Parkinson's. Guys, you know what I learned after spending time with Elaine and the other folks at the Parkinson's families of Northwest Kansas? They're located in a pretty remote area. There's not like there's resources that are close by, but Elaine has created a program which draws the resources to their community. They have annual Parkinson's seminars and symposiums. They provide incredible services. That's really because under the leadership of Elaine, they've created an environment and a program to reach their community, which has such a great need for the services they provide.
Our travels took us back to Denver for the second time, and we were invited to participate in a live webinar that was being sponsored by Boston Scientific and the Boulder Community Health Organization. We also heard from Dr. Kara Beasley, who specializes in neurology generally, but particularly in DBS. And we had a chance to answer questions from the live audience that really related to my experience with DBS specifically, and Scott, your experience with Parkinson's generally. So my Parkinson's progressed pretty slowly in the first few years. My experience was more with rigidity or bradykinesia than it was with tremors, so I was able to live with it. But I ultimately started trying all the different meds and all of the ugly side effects that came with them. You know, the headaches, the nausea, the drowsiness, the brain fog. I had it all. And I ultimately had to switch to carbidopa-levodopa. That was necessary for me to continue to function at work. And the more I took, the more severe my dyskinesia got. And I think that was when it really started to become the downfall for me. And I wanted to share with you me before deep brain stimulation surgery. This is a video that Scott and I made for an event that we're going to host in California that year. And this is Scott Ryder.
Together we are
the co-chairs for the inaugural Parkinson's Foundation Volunteer Leadership Summit.
If we can remember, we have a couple of important reminders to share with you. Number one, dress as casual.
We want you to be comfortable and want you to relax and take this as an opportunity to meet as many people as you can and form relationships around the country, because that will make us a stronger foundation.
Number three, or is it number two? I don't remember.
But anyhow, that's me before, this is me after. And, you know, all I can say is that my life has been changed because of the DBS. And I've reduced my meds from the equivalent of 30 pills a day to a very low dose of Rytary 4 times a day. And all of that brain fog and dyskinesia are gone. but you've got to be realistic in your expectations. Several friends have come out of DBS and not taken a single pill since. I'm not sure that that's very realistic, but certainly my experience has been that you can significantly reduce the medications and all of the horrible side effects that go with that.
Next up, guys, we went to the University of Colorado, home of the Buffaloes, and we visited with staff from the Movement Disorders program on the Anschutz Medical Campus and discussed neurogenetics and genetic studies.
Genetics allows us to better understand fairly complex diseases, including Parkinson's disease. Right now, about 1 million people in the United States have Parkinson's disease, and we diagnose about 60,000 people every year. So of those, about 10 to 15% of people with Parkinson's disease have a genetic cause. Imagine a time when somebody who is newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease can get genetic testing and based on the results of that testing be offered a personalized treatment plan for their Parkinson's disease. That is really where we're trying to head in this field. Right now there are several clinical trials for medications that can slow down or potentially even stop the course of Parkinson's disease based on their genetic testing. So, for example, GBA and LUMP2 are the two most common causes of genetic Parkinson's disease, and both of those have clinical trials right now for disease-modifying medication. So we're very hopeful from that.
We're really, kind of scratching at the surface level of genetic causes of Parkinson's. And the reason why it's hard and we don't have that information now is because it's likely multiple genetic factors. These genetic factors are interacting with our environment in ways that we don't yet understand. Also, there's exposures in our life and how that impacts. Once we have more information about genetics, it can, one, lead to personalized medicine, and two, also motivate people to kind of act on their personal genetic risk. In the future, we're going to know a lot more about how genetics plays into it and kind of motivate people to kind of seek out those treatments or recommendations.
So the Parkinson's Foundation sponsors PD Generation. It's an extraordinary study that offers free genetic testing for the most common genetic causes of Parkinson's disease. So anyone with Parkinson's disease can come in and sign up and get that genetic testing. Basically every clinic, someone comes in and says, why did I get Parkinson's disease? Does it run in the family? Is my family at risk? And so being able to offer them this testing that gives them some answers is such a huge resource for us and for our patients. And as we learn more about Parkinson's disease, the information that is gained from that testing, even if it was already done years ago, will just continue to increase.
The genetic counseling aspect of PD Generation is so important because genetic testing is never yes, no. Sometimes we get answers that are in between. They're called variants of unknown significance. And we get this kind of result almost on every genetic test. What this means is that we found a spelling change in the gene, but we don't have enough evidence or data to say if this change is actually why you develop Parkinson's or if it's just part of normal human variation. Because we all have changes in our genes, that's why we all look different from one another. So that's where a genetic counselor can be really helpful in helping you understand that possible result. And when that result does come back, how do you navigate that? How do you talk to your family about it?
Parkinson's disease has a lot of varied manifestations. One person with Parkinson's disease can look very different from another person. One person can have a tremor predominant disorder, another person can have very little tremor, but a lot of difficulty with freezing or walking. And so seeing all these varied presentations and all these people with Parkinson's disease gives us kind of the background and the skill to provide a high level of care to everyone we see.
Well, Well, guys, I think that's a wrap for segment 4. We started in the Denver area in Colorado, made our way up to Salt Lake City, Utah, made a not-so-short detour to Colby, Kansas, and then we found ourselves back in the Denver area.
And that means, guys, we're on to segment 5.
I am the face of Parkinson's.
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 We ready?
Go!
That's right. What's your name?
Bryce.
That's right, Bryce. While we're in the Denver...
Oh, okay.
Here it is. This is
Okay.
it.
This is
Get
it.
it, nail
This
it,
is
Bryce.
it, baby.
This is it.
He's got it. He has got it.
Don, what do you have to say about fly fishing? Come on, you got something. I know you have something.
Match the hatch.
Match the hatch. Don has it quoted at us as September 21st, 4:05. Match the hatch, Don. Good, very good.
So Bryce, tell me, it seems like you've lessened your candy consumption from the past.
You know, a little bit I have. You know, I still like the Sour Patch and even like the sour straws, but
Well, your accent seemed to just disappear.
I think I really like the sour straws and the Sour Patch Kids because they're just inviting. I just want to take them in and just eat them, and it's exciting.
You know, Bryce, that you could get toothpick.
Man, I need to go get some candy. Just wait, I'll be back.
Sit down, please.